Matt McClung has three-peated before the Chiefs were able to three-peat.
Good job, Matt McClung. He saved the All-Star weekend.
He did save he's like the most consistent part of the All-Star weekend.
Yeah. Hey, other All-Star things to fix? Would you like a 1v1 game?
I would like 1v1 tournament.
Like a 16-player one-on-one tournament.
Yeah, best of like,
I don't know.
12?
Yeah, 11, 12. That'd be kind of interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's mano-a-mano. Like,
do you do that instead of the All-Star game?
I want to see Steph versus Wemby.
Ooh.
You know, like big, long, lanky guy and short, little guy. Like, that would be, seeing the differences in when they did it in the tournament. Like, that'd be the kind of interesting thing of seeing a big versus a little. Can they do those things, And then with the big guy, just post about. Anyway.
Yeah. I also moved my mic so you can see my beautiful face.
It's an amazing face.
Thank you. Just roll the intro. I don't know what to say here.
For the win! Bogdanovich! The open shot. Look, it's the play. Oh, he caught! Are you? Goes to Bunga. A Murray miracle! To the playoffs!
Hello and welcome back to the Eastman Sport Report, your father-son coach-player podcast about the Sacramento Kings and San Francisco 49ers. I'm your host, Maxwell Eastman, joined once again by my co-host, Steven Eastman.
Hello, Max. Hey, everybody out there on the podcast land. Good to thank you for coming back for another exciting episode of the Eastman Sport Report.
Yes.
This one will be truly, truly exciting.
Really?
Yeah, it will be.
Yeah, okay.
We're here. What else do you need to be exciting?
True, yeah.
That's what you're here
just
for.
the two of us?
That's what you're here for,
Yeah.
right? That's why it's called the Eastman Sport Report. It was exciting.
So, next week, I'm going to talk about this so it's not just jammed in the last part of the episode because I don't know when else we're going to talk about it. Next week, we're not going to be here in the studio or in the state, actually.
Yes. So stay tuned to our channel, probably more on the YouTube side than Spotify, for some on-the-road coverage of your Sacramento Kings.
So what we're doing is we're going to Texas and we're going to watch the Rockets game first?
Yes.
We're going to watch the Rockets game first, then we're going to watch the Mavericks game, and then we're going to go see a Spurs versus Oklahoma City Thunder game, which is just a game to just hang out and have fun. But also...
Technically, that's going to be between. So you go Houston, then San Antonio, then Dallas. So we are going to get the full Texas triangle.
We are going to have a Texas triangle, as he says. If we had more than like 2 subscribers, we would have a merch T-shirt to like say that, or like come see us at Texas, but no.
I don't think anybody going to be in Texas is going to be looking for us.
Okay, but we are going to go with some friends. Brian, who was on the podcast last year,
yes,
at the end of the season, talk about the Kings season from then.
We might get some guest interviews, what their thoughts are of the games.
He's also going with his 2 kids.
Yeah, so
which one of them's in middle school and the other one's... Are they both in middle school now?
I think they're both in middle school.
Okay, they're both in middle school now.
Yeah, so we might have some exciting guests, and we'll have some post-game reaction. I don't know if we can film in the arena.
We might have...
It might be outside the arena.
Yeah.
I don't really want to do... Anyway, we'll find a way. We will find a way to do a couple on-the-road episodes next week. So please stay tuned. Hit that subscribe, hit that like button, all those types of things, so you can see... when you get notifications of when we post on the road, so that'll be fun and exciting. Other fun and exciting things are, because Max is done with the basketball season, we're actually going to a couple Kings games coming up. So, like, not only do we get 3 games in 3 days next week, we will be at tomorrow's game.
Against Charlotte, I think?
Yeah, against Charlotte.
See if we
better win that game.
See if we can record something there.
Yeah, we'll see if we can record something at that game.
Maybe bring a tripod and record outside.
But they won't let you bring a tripod.
No, go to the car, come back, record with the beam outside.
We'll see. We'll try. We'll figure something out. So again, stay tuned for some fun on the channel here. It may not be a traditional podcast, but it should be some short little snippets of Eastman Sport Report on the road. So that will be fun and exciting, and we hope that everybody comes along for the journey.
Yeah, it's I think it's going to be fun. But let's talk about Okay, let's talk about the All-Star game. Just a little bit
All-Star
of it.
games.
All-Star games, yes. All-Star games.
Get that S at the end there.
In games.
Because it was so exciting. I did actually watch some of it.
I think one of them was competitive. Otherwise,
well, you know why it was competitive? Because no one wants to lose to the Rising Stars.
yeah.
Like, they actually specifically said that. Like, we're not losing to those guys. Like, we're the All-Stars. They shouldn't be playing on Sunday, according to Draymond Green. So they're not beating us. And, you know, so the OGs won the whole tournament. Steph Curry in his home arena won the All-Star MVP.
Of course.
Yeah, good for him, you know. Okay.
But
that's about it.
I thought what Victor Wembanyama and Chris Paul did was funny. I do think that they should have been disqualified because you're kind of just not trying at that point. It is just breaking. It is a loophole because you're not supposed to make them, but you're not really. You're not.
Yeah. So for those of you who didn't see, they did the skills challenge.
Yes.
Well, in the skills challenge, you have to shoot in some baskets. If there's a time where you go up and you shoot some shots, and if you make one, you move on to the next shot.
Yes.
But you have a maximum of 3 shots to attempt. So they just went and just threw the balls randomly off the thing. Didn't care if they made them. Like, they were nowhere close. Nowhere close. And then they just moved on. And I think they were supposed to make it to the second round, but
because they had the fastest time because they didn't shoot the ball.
Yeah, it's a total Chris Paul thing. Total Chris Paul was not Victor Wembanyama was I think
Accomplice.
He was accomplice. I think if I remember correctly, was he smiling when he did it?
Probably.
I think he was. Chris Paul kept a little bit more of a serious face because Victor is just chucking him. Hey, they tried.
No, they didn't.
They tried something unique and different.
They wanted to win.
I didn't say they tried, but they tried something unique and different and tried to find a loophole in the games and to make it a little more exciting. Right? You know? Okay, there you go.
The sun's coming right into my eyes again. It's right.
It's a Sunday
afternoon. Can you see it?
Yeah, I can see it in your face.
We need to find better times to record.
Sorry, this is our good set of Sunday afternoon to record. So we are recording here on a Sunday afternoon. Kings did play last night. Or no, 2 nights ago.
They played Friday
night.
It was a game.
It was their first game after the All-Star break, so we only have one Kings game to talk about this week, and it was
not good.
Yeah.
Okay, let me say this. I feel like you also said this when we were at our house earlier, and in the week as well. But with Zach LaVine, after trading away De'Aaron Fox, and you also said this on the podcast last week, who's your best starting defender? Keegan Murray? But then who's going to guard Steph Curry? Who's going to guard Jimmy Butler?
It was Keegan Murray.
Yeah.
Okay.
But then what else happens? Who's going to guard Jimmy Butler? Who's going to guard Draymond Green? Who's going to guard Jonathan Kuminga? Who's going to go guard?
It was Porzingis was the other.
Yeah.
Which was a shooter.
Pods. Yeah. Nickname. But Porzingis?
Yeah, I mean,
Wait.
Buddy Hield saw.
Yeah, Buddy Hield as well.
Buddy Hield went off, but he just went off because he's playing against the Kings. So, yeah, the Warriors had 4 people in 20, 4 players in 20 points. One of them was Pod's guy, Brandon Podziemski. Yes, Moses Moody scored 22. Steph Curry had 20. So Butler only had 17, and Buddy Hield had 22.
My problem with this Kings team is that you have parts of an offense. It's not that great of an offense, but like you can score like 144 point. You can not 144. You scored 144. You lost because the Thunder scored 144. What should I be looking at? Let's look at the New Orleans game. You can score 119 points. Let's look at the other New Orleans games. You can score 133 points. You can't. This team can score points. This team cannot play defense. If defense wins championships, that's why the Mavericks traded for Anthony Davis.
And the bad thing about this game is, you gave 132 points, so your defense was not good. Okay, and what's the Kings' Achilles heel is 3-point defense.
Yes.
The Warriors shot 46%.
You're playing against the Warriors, and your Achilles heel is 3-point defense. Yeah. You are getting killed out there.
Yeah,
destroyed.
Now the funny thing is we were 2-0 against the Warriors this year. Like we were 2-0. We beat the Warriors 129-99 back on January 5th. January 22nd, they won by 6 points. So, like, the Kings, were 2-0 against the Warriors.
Yes.
So that's why they had the when they were tied going into the game, they were tied, but the Kings had the 9th seed because of a head-to-head. If the Kings win Game 4 of their match or season series on March 13th, which will be in the Bay, San Francisco. It's actually a TNT game. It will, if the Kings win, they'll own the season series, which is super important for playoff positioning. But the interesting thing is about the game is their offense actually stunk.
Yeah, with that game we didn't have an offense. Like, you scored 108 points, but you should be scoring more than that. If you need to score almost 140 points, oh my gosh, this microphone is not very stable.
Well, because you played with it anyway. But the point was,
what do you mean?
Is how they played offense. Like, they didn't play the DHO game. They did way too much isolation, which DeMar DeRozan, hey, he's a great isolation player.
Yeah, he's a great ISO player, but like, that's not a good Kings offense.
No, it's not.
Like, doesn't work with Sabonis. It doesn't work with a Malik Monk.
Yeah.
Like, you need to be passing the ball around and getting everyone involved. That's why it worked so well in 2023 2022, 2023 season, because the entire offense is spread out and we spread the ball around.
And you're flowing and everybody can score. And so they need to get back to that. That's the big thing. Hopefully they practiced yesterday. I think they practice again today. Like, they need to, hey, we're back into the flow of things and doing, getting some practice time. I think they were probably thinking too much in the game yesterday and not in the flow. Like, they don't have much time to get this offense going to get there. Did you hear what happened after the game?
I did not hear what happened after the game.
Okay. Let's just say Doug Christie was not happy.
I did hear that he said that he's disappointed in how he played, but I didn't.
He was more than disappointed. He was very. He said, "Well, I'm not going to say exactly what I said to the team," but he was not very happy. Let's put it that way. The other interesting thing that came out after the game was, so normally, and we're not, in media yet, maybe someday.
Hopefully.
The after the game, and then by the time you go out, then they actually have post-game press conferences, and then they open up, after the post-game press conferences, they open up the locker room for the press to go in. Normally, the post-game press conference, because sometimes it gets on air, is maybe 10, 15 minutes after the game ends, maybe 15. Let's go for that. Okay? They didn't come out for post-game press conferences till an hour after the game. An hour. Okay, they had some conversations.
Yeah.
They had some words. They even had, I don't know exactly what they had in there because it hasn't all come out. But Doug Christie called the starters. I don't know if into his office or somewhere else, but they had their own private meeting between Doug Christie and the starters.
Okay.
Of, guys,
step up.
This is you. This is your team. You guys have to work this out. Because their offense looked horrible. It did not look like Kings' offense. Their defense is not great. When your offense isn't good and your defense is good, you lose by 24 points. It could have been worse than that. But it was not competitive the whole game. It was competitive for the first quarter. I'll give them that.
Oh, boy, not the first quarter.
Yeah, at least they started the game good. But, yeah, so... They had some, hopefully a come to Jesus moment where it's like, you say some words, get them some things out. Like they had that came out. It came out. Chris Haynes reported that Saturday morning. They got reported, and then so the local Kings reporters asked, I think it was Malik Monk. They asked him. No, it was DeMar DeRozan. They asked about this, and I saw that video clip, and he was asked about it, and he's like. He didn't want to say what was said at the meeting. He's like, that's between us and the team. But yeah, we the basic thing is we need to step up. We as a team need to play together. So
yes.
Now, so that's, hey, they better play better. The next team they play
is the Charlotte Hornets.
Did you see what the Charlotte Hornets played? How good their game was? Good. They played, let's see, who'd they play?
Was it the Lakers?
Last night.
I think it was the Lakers.
It was Saturday night, so they played Monday night in Sacramento.
Oh, they played the Trailblazers.
So the Trailblazers are not a...
They're not a bad team. They're also not a good team.
Yes.
They've won, but they've won a lot of their games recently. They're getting back.
So they're on a streak. So the Portland had been playing good. But have you seen the score, or did you just?
I mean,
see
I'm
it?
looking at it now, and I'm like trying to hide my reaction. But oh my goodness,
That's a good reaction.
Trailblazers romp to the largest blowout victory in team history since the Trailblazers have been existed. Not the Hornets, which are newer. The Trailblazers, 141-88.
Yeah, 53-point win. So the Kings. This is going to be a great game.
I wonder why
Monday night.
LaMelo Ball didn't make an All-Star team.
So this is going to be an interesting game on Monday night. You have the Kings who are finding their way with new pieces.
Yes.
Okay. They're all trying to figure out how do they play together. They played let's say, a bad game. And then you got the Hornets who just got even worse of a game. And you got these two bad teams going together. So either it could be two bad teams playing together or either way, the Kings a better win. Like, you are the one going for the playoffs. What is Charlotte's record, by the way?
14-41, I think.
Yeah. Oh, hey, by the way, the Kings actually own the Charlotte Hornets first-round draft pick this year.
Oh, cool.
But it's top 14 protected.
And the Hornets are currently the third worst team in the league. So
they're 14-41. For the Kings to actually get a first-round pick out of it, they have to make the playoffs. The Hornets have to make the playoffs, and they're at 14-41.
I think no. I don't think that's happening, personally.
Yeah, from the 8th spot, which is the Miami Heat right now, they are doing some quick math, about 12 games be out of the playoffs with about 20-something to go. So, yeah, Kings are not getting a first-rounder pick, but they're getting 2 seconds. That's when people said about the De'Aaron Fox rule. They got 3 firsts and 3 seconds. No, they got 2 firsts and 5 seconds.
No, I'm sorry. We have the Hornets pick. We are not. No.
Yeah, I mean, if it was the Charlotte Hornets pick that was unprotected, I'd be like, oh, yeah. Can I do a little dance?
Yes.
Okay.
I feel like Anyway,
I
feel like there's some way that you could get Zach LaVine and Jonas Valanciunas and what's the one other guy's name that I can't remember? Jake LaRavia. I feel like there's some way that you could get those players while keeping De'Aaron Fox. That probably involves trading Malik Monk, but I'd much rather keep De'Aaron Fox than I would trade Malik Monk. I am still in denial about the De'Aaron Fox trade.
Hey, we get to go see him in San Antonio.
We will be able to see him in San Antonio. Hopefully,
comments here. I'd love to have some people comment. Should Max wear his Sacramento Kings Fox jersey in San Antonio when the Spurs are playing the Thunder? No Kings are a thing. Do we wear Kings stuff in a game when the Kings aren't even playing?
I don't think I think you can just wear whatever at that point.
Yeah, do I just wear non-sports attire? Do you have like an NBA hoodie, just a hoodie that says NBA on it?
I don't know.
I thought you did.
I'll have to check.
No, this is also similar to a question years ago. I think it was 2019.
It was the Western Conference Finals. Oh wait, it was 19. It was 2019 because then the Warriors played the Raptors. The Western Conference Finals between the Warriors and the Trailblazers. You were in Portland.
I was in Portland for a work event, and the hotel I was at was downtown Portland, literally 2 or 3 blocks from the arena.
Yes.
So I have an evening open. I just went and paid for a nosebleed seat just to get into a Western Conference Finals game. And I wore my Buddy Hield jersey because he was on the Kings at that point. Yeah. He's a future Warrior, right? Anyway,
so it's a prophecy.
It was a prophecy. Do you wear Kings attire to a non-Kings game? Okay, there's I'd love to see some comments down at the bottom about that. Okay, so that's that was my tangent. What were we talking about before? Sorry.
Disappointment. What are the Kings?
Charlotte Hornets.
They're bad. The Kings are better than the Hornets.
Better be.
Record-wise.
Well, record-wise we are. Right now we are 10th in the West. We're a 1 game ahead of the Phoenix Suns.
We're 1.5 game behind the Warriors.
Yeah.
And then
Did they win last night? Did they play a second game?
Wait, no. No.
We were tied. I do agree. We were 1.5. But
I will check. They played the Mavericks and they beat them. Yes.
Okay.
Oh, and then they play the Hornets as well on the 25th, which is Tuesday.
Okay.
So the Hornets get a back-to-back.
Yeah. So the Warriors won. Yeah, that's why they're 1.5 up on us. Okay. Is there anything else you want to say on the Kings? We do have.
I need a defense, please. Okay. I feel like I know I've said this before. I know I said this last time. I don't expect much from this Kings team roster. This is not a good roster.
But I would like them to at least make the playoffs this year.
Yes. I want them to make the playoffs this year, and then I want to see them rebuild. I'm fine with if we start rebuilding next year. I'm fine with a sort of worse season.
But out of this group, can we get 2 playoff runs, not just one? And a play-in, I'd actually like to make the playoffs this year. Please make the playoffs. I don't care if you have to get play the play-in and get in the play-in.
Yeah.
I don't care. But Sacramento Kings, please make the playoffs. Can I beg? Is this a pray to Jesus moment? Anyway, okay, there's your thing. Okay, let's transition. Put your bookmark out there. Let's go to the Niners. Because we'll be on the road next week, and then the Niners, the free agency starts in the middle of March. I'm not sure if we'll get another chance to preview kind of a free agency and do some offseason. We've never really done an offseason thing for the Niners. So if we transition to that, there's many things we could talk about. I would like to start taking, this is from The Athletic, Matt Barrows. He listed the top 10 free agents on the Niners.
Joshua Dobbs?
And I would like to go through the list.
Joshua Dobbs?
And he's on the list. Patience, okay? I'd like to go through the list, and do you think the Niners will re-sign him or not? That's kind of what we're going through here. Talk about the person. We can talk about their position, what position they play and stuff like this. Number 1 is Charvarius Ward. So he is a free agent. He turns 29 in May. He's coming off a down year. He missed 5 games, had no interceptions this year. But there was kind of a reason for his missed production in the second half of the season.
Yeah, because he's not mentally there because of tragic events, I'll say.
Yeah, his 1-year-old son, 1-year-old daughter passed away.
So my thing
in October, right in the middle
is
of the
that I think he ended the season really good. How he ended the last 3 games, he played really well.
He started to come back.
And then he posted, I think on Twitter, he says that any team that signs me will get the best version of me. I am fully ready for next season.
Yeah. But
I think he will have a better season next year.
But I don't think he's going to be back. If I was to put it on a scale of 1 to 10, will he be back to the Niners? It's probably a 2. If 10, he's coming back.
I'm fine if he comes back. I'm not against it.
I totally am. But the other thing that he said was his girlfriend, mother of his child, and he does have does have a newborn baby too, with the same girl mom that the baby passed away with. She is traumatized by losing their baby when they were in San Francisco.
Yes.
So because of that, I think there's a very small likelihood. 2 is what I would like. If you look at the overall circumstance, I think it's a 1 that he actually comes back. So I don't think Charvarius Ward's going to be back.
I don't think he's coming back. I'm fine with him.
And if you think
I want him to stay, but I'm I'm fine if he leaves and goes and plays well somewhere else.
Yeah, no ill feelings toward him, but what I also think is we paid Deommodore Lenoir.
Yes.
In the second half of the season
because he started playing really good.
Yeah, he was really. He should have made the All Pro.
Yeah.
Pro Bowl. That's what I was trying to say. Pro Bowl. And you have Renardo Green. So those should be your top 2 cornerbacks. So
get a good 3rd string somewhere in the draft. this year.
Maybe they might draft another one they got Renardo Green, or you can bring back Yidam. So that's where I'm looking at it. I don't think they bring back Charvarius Ward. I think that's why they drafted Renardo Green to get prepared for that. They just also needed a cornerback. But anyway, Renardo Green really helped, and I think Charvarius Ward is gone. Javon Hargrave is number 2. He's technically the Niners signed him to a 4-year, $84 million contract 2 years ago. They plan to release him sometime in March with a post June 1st designation that spreads out his dead cap money. Because if you look at dead cap money that they have right now, they technically have dead.
This is the most. I have no idea what you're talking about right now.
So they actually have dead cap money. Where is it at? I opened it somewhere.
I don't think
he's
he's
over here.
I want him to
so
stay.
For next year, they have like dead cap money for Eric Armstead because they cut him, put him as a June 1st thing. They're also going to have a dead cap hit of $12 million for Traverius Ward. Anyway, so that's what dead cap is.
I want Hargrave to stay. I really wish we could be able to keep Hargrave because he's a really good player. It's just that he didn't play barely at all this season because he tore his whatever it is.
It was a tricep.
He tore his tricep, and then he had a really bad game because he had a torn tricep, and you can't really do much with a torn tricep.
Yeah, he only played 3 games this year.
So I think that really limited his success for this season. But he did really well in the season before. Like he was the grave like.
He was the gravedigger.
He was the gravedigger. He played really well.
He had
and it's like
7 sacks and 44 tackles. It's not as dominant as like when they paid him that much money. You expect more out of him.
But what I want out of Hargrave is because you're not going to get another Nick Bosa. We need another good defensive lineman or edge that can be with Hargrave, so then there's less pressure on Nick Bosa, so then he can go out. I think we need to get someone else. Like my ideal situation is to keep Hargrave and then get someone else to stand beside him that's also really good or even better than Hargrave can be, whether in free agency, like you get a Myles Garrett or you get a Max Crosby, or you draft someone you draft someone high. And so then you can go out and have your dominant defensive line, which makes the Niners team is so good. And that's why Robert Saleh is so what Robert Saleh is so well known for.
So Niners have said they're going to cut him, and they have interest to bring him back. I don't know if that's lip service or if that's true. It probably is, but basically saying like, hey, you cost too much money. You need to take a pay cut, and to do that, we're going to cut you, and we might bring you back. I don't like if I was to put it where he comes back, I'd say this is more like a 3 whether he comes back, not a high likelihood, but there is a slight chance.
I'd say a 4 for him.
Okay,
like I want him to come back, but I don't see him coming back.
Okay, moving on, number 3, Dre Greenlaw.
Please. I need him so bad.
Like from my perspective, if we're going to this 1 to 10 thing,
if
this is like a full on 10 of I want him back.
Yes, no, not in 1. This team
so
needs him back.
Will he come back as a different question? I think that's more like a 7.
Yeah, 7. That's a 7 because
but we want and need him at a 10. Like it's 11 or a 12. Like this is the number 1 guy in my opinion.
Because Fred Warner restructured his contract so that we could sign Dre Greenlaw, so we can get someone else that can be a difference maker on this defense.
Yeah.
So we need we need the Batman and Superman on our defense that can go out and give heck. I don't know if I can say hell on this podcast. Give hell to other players.
So he only played 1/2 of a game this year, and it was when that 1/2 showed why he is a great player. He's worth the money. And even Robert Saleh's come out and says, "Hey, we have to bring him back." So
if we don't bring him back, we need someone better than Devondre Campbell, who was below the average last season.
He's still available.
No, keep him away from my team.
Eric Kendricks, who they signed last year, is also. But I think if
Kendricks is fine. He was serviceable as a backup.
Well, Kendricks went to the Cowboys.
Okay, that's whatever.
Anyway, I think the Niners are gonna they realize they have to address this position, whether it's re-signing Dre Greenlaw, and I think they're actually going to draft somebody. I would say in the 4th round, 5th round, a linebacker. That's what I think they drafted. Warner was a 3rd, Greenlaw was a 5th. So I think they're going to draft another linebacker in there. D. Winters will probably be your 3rd linebacker. So I think they call it the strong side linebacker. But anyways,
but we need Dre Greenlaw. I think he's going to get offered a lot of money from other teams. But if you want to play with Fred Warner and have a good team and be with Robert Saleh again, I don't see why you wouldn't stay on this team because I need Dre Greenlaw on my team. He's so loved by this team and this fan base. But so we need Dre Greenlaw.
That's the one out of this whole list that I'm like number 1. We have to get.
Circle his name 3 times. Underline it in blue.
Highlight it. Put arrows to it.
Yes.
Yeah, like whatever you need to do, get that guy back in. Get that. I'd love to see him re-signed even before he goes to its free agency. Like, can we do that in some way, shape, or form? Number 4 is Talanoa Hufanga.
Now this is the hard one because he had an off year this year.
He was playing
after coming back from injury, but he had weird tackle lines
Yeah, but he played with
he played with a club. That's not my problem. Like when he got to the players, he was able to tackle them, but like he took sort of bad lines when trying to go and tackle them. Like if you see tape of him, he's not running like how he did. Is that part of wasn't able to practice?
Probably
Wasn't able to practice enough, so he like lost part of that mental game that he needs to get that back. Is that something else that we should be more concerned about? Because I still have faith in Talanoa Hufanga, because this will be his 4th season in the league.
I think he just played his 4th, so this will be his 5th. They drafted him in 2021, so this will be his 5th season coming up. So this is basically coming off his rookie contract, how much they can pay for him. He did play, he got a 1-year Pro Bowler. When the Niners drafted him in 2021, he earned the rare gold helmet. Have you heard about that in the draft for him? The Niners do put players, and they put gold helmets on him. Gold helmets basically designate he's excellent in performance, leadership, and intelligence. So Hufanga got one of those gold helmets. They were able to draft him. Like they kind of put that on their whole draft board, and they put this like special designator called the gold helmet on some players, and they when they draft him, and then they tell him like, yeah, he was a gold helmet guy. Hufanga was, so he's super smart. The other thing, when he came back, the defense played so much better.
Yes, because the presence of having Hufanga out there changes a lot of things.
Because when you were playing Mustafa and Jair Brown, 2 super young players,
the quarterbacks don't respect them.
Yeah, he made. You need that quarterback. Like when you play defense, and you're playing defense, when you play by defense basketball-wise, you're able to talk your teammates into different carts because you're a big guy down low and you can see the whole court. You can see where cutters are going. Yes. That's what Hufanga is doing as a safety back there, as he's directing traffic from a defensive perspective. And that's what he did better than, let's just be honest, Jair Brown and the other guys that they had last year. So he's probably out of this whole list. He's the second one I would love to see back.
Yes.
Okay. Number 5, Aaron Banks. If I was to put a number on whether he comes back or not, I'd probably put about an 8 is what I want.
Hufanga?
Yeah, I would probably want it about 8 or 9.
I think he's like a 5.
I think he's like a 6, my opinion, on whether he will come back.
I think it's like 5. Again, oh my gosh, this microphone is not agreeing with me. Probably because it's not supposed to look like this. But I want to have good camera angles for all my beautiful fans out there. All 3 of them.
Okay.
My mom, my 2 sisters.
Okay, we're not gonna.
But I don't know what the defense is gonna really look like. Without Hufanga, because he makes the defense better, because the quarterbacks respect him, so they're not going to throw towards him. Like how they don't respect Mustafa that much right now. They don't respect Green that much right now. So they're throwing to them more, which is...
Well, they just respect Green.
They started respecting Green, but they don't respect Mustafa that much right now. So they're just throwing to him, and he's a rookie, so he needs to get out there and get more reps. So I think it would be good to have one of them be a strong safety, one of them be a free safety, but... Hufanga, I think would need, is like you said, like a 7. Like he needs to be on this team, but I don't know if he's going to come back because of just contract reasons.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing, is can the Niners afford him? So we'll see. Hopefully with him having a down year last year, he's a little cheaper, and the Niners can afford him. Number 5, Aaron Banks.
Did he even play that well?
He was ranked, according to Pro Football Focus, as the 33rd best guard. So if you think of the 32-team league,
he was below.
And there's always 2 teams, so there's at least 64 guards ranked. Now, there's probably more because of injuries and stuff like that.
Yes.
So he's a very middle-of-the-road guard. Now, I think he had a better year last year. He did totally better last year than this year.
Probably because our entire offensive line sucked this year.
Well, Pooney came in and made McKivitz better.
Yeah.
So,
Pooney was the only good player on our offensive line besides when Trent Williams wasn't injured.
Yeah, and Trent Williams started out slow because he was at his contract. And then he had an ankle problem. He only played about 60% of the snaps of the whole season. So, Aaron Banks, do I want him back? Yeah, kind of. He's a decent to good guard.
I'd say 5. I think for want it's a 5, and for comeback it's also a 5.
No, I think it's more like a 2 that'll come back. I do not expect him to come back at all. Do I want him back? Yes, for the right price, I would want Aaron Banks back. He's probably a slightly above average guard, but I think he's going to get a lot of money in the free agents.
I don't think he's going to get that much money free agents.
He's going to get more than the Kings. More than the Niners can afford.
Yeah. He's going to go play center for the Kings.
He's going to go play point guard for the Kings. That'd be awesome.
No. Stay away.
Can you imagine this big, huge Aaron makes 300 pounds playing basketball?
He's probably bigger than the restricted area line. Anyways,
because he's such a big-bodied thing, I think
hot in this room today.
He'll probably go to a team that doesn't use the zone running scheme, and he might actually play better. So I think he's going to be a really good player. In the league. I don't think the Niners are going to bring him back. Number 6, another offensive lineman, Jalen Moore.
I don't think we need him anymore.
Well, he's the third string third string tackle. So he backed up Trent Williams. You do definitely need a backup tackle.
But
he might want to go get a starting position somewhere. Because when Trent Williams is out, he played 7 or 8 games toward the end of the season.
Okay, go play for the Panthers. I don't care. Yeah. If we have a Trent Williams, and I don't really care for a third string left tackle, but he's gonna do that much because he didn't play terrible, but also the rest of our offensive line didn't play good, so he didn't look that bad in comparison to everyone else.
So Jalen Moore had 9 starts this year. He played 279 pass blocking snaps over the past 2 seasons. He only surrendered 2 sacks. So he's a decent tackle, which is a very good third string tackle. He might want to get a starting position. Do I want him back? It's probably like a 5. Do I expect him back? I think he's more like a 4, higher than Aaron Banks. But I don't really expect him. He's kind of in the don't expect him to come back.
I agree.
Type of thing. Oh, Aaron Banks, if I jump back up to him, I think the Niners are going to lose him, and same with Charvarius Ward, and they actually kind of want to lose him so they get comp picks next year.
Yeah.
The Niners love to get comp picks. They're going to get a couple this year because of losing people. So, like Sam Darnold, which brings us to number 7, Josh Dobbs. The pastronaut.
I feel like we could get a bunch of good backup quarterbacks. Like Joshua Dobbs was a perfect backup quarterback. I don't think he's gonna go anywhere else and start this season unless he goes to the Titans.
Well, he might go to somebody who drafts a quarterback and they want a bridge quarterback. I think the Niners want him back. I don't think he'll come back just from the aspect of he came expecting to be the backup QB, and then Brandon Allen for some reason beat him out,
and that doesn't make sense to me.
I know,
it's because Josh Dobbs played better in the preseason, and he's a better, and when he played in actual games, he was a better player.
Yeah, Dobbs might be Brandon Allen might be a better practice QB than Dobbs, but Dobbs is a better player on game days. So.
But
just for that, I don't.
Eventually, Josh Dobbs was able to beat out Brandon Allen for the
last couple of games, especially because our offensive line was such in shambles because there's too many injuries and stuff. So
I think that if he did come back, he would be the backup, especially because I don't think we're going to bring Brandon Allen back. I think we're just going to go, bye, buddy. Hope you have fun. But
well, technically, there's only one quarterback on the roster right now. We only have Brock Purdy's the only one that's signed,
and he only has 1 more year left on his deal.
Yeah. Okay, number 8. Running back Jordan Mason. He is the only one on this list that's a restricted free agent. So the Niners could tender him, which is basically a tender. So there's different ways you could do this. You could get a first-round tender, which basically is the Niners would guarantee his first salary to be at least $7.3 million.
Yes.
Okay. So first-round tender is $7.3 million. That also means if other teams sign him, well, the Niners, they'd sign him as a restricted free agent. The Niners could match whatever he signs. But if let's say whatever team drafts him, like the Cowboys who need a running back, if they were to sign Jordan Mason. Sorry, too many things going to my head. If the Cowboys were to sign Jordan Mason, they'd have to give up a first-round draft pick for Jordan Mason. So that's where you sign him to a first-round tender.
Yes.
If you sign him to a second-round tender, it's $5.2 million. So again, if let's say the Cowboys were to sign Mason, they would give up a second-round draft pick for Mason. But also with either one of those, if the Cowboys were to, or any team was to sign him, Niners would have a chance to match. If they do a right of first refusal tender, which is only $3.2 million, then they would be they would actually not receive anything back if Mason was to leave, but they would have the opportunity to match whatever he gets. I think Niners would probably give him the second round tender, which is $5.2 million.
I don't, because of Christian McCaffrey's injury history and this team's injury history. You need a good backup running back, which is what Jordan Mason is, but also because of how well he played when Christian McCaffrey wasn't there.
Oh, yeah.
A bunch of teams want him, like the Cowboys that you said, who are in need of a running back, who are in need of a running back. So, but I think Isaac Guerrero, because Elijah Mitchell is also a free agent, I don't see us signing him for any reason because he didn't play last season.
Well, he was injured the whole season.
He was injured the whole season, but he is a good player. So
I wish he could be healthy. But the hard thing is the Niners had so many running backs get injured. I mean, Jordan Mason included. Christian McCaffrey got injured. Guerrero got injured.
Yeah,
like we were down to
a fifth string.
Yeah,
fifth string running back
by the end of the year. So I think. So if you look at it from a perspective of Guerendo's going to make $1.1 million next year, Christian McCaffrey's cap hit, which is what I'm looking at here, is only going to be $9.4 million next year. So that's when you look at Jordan Mason at a cap hit of 7, seems a little high. Now I could see them paying him around 5, which is the second round tender. So that's my prediction is they'll give him a second round tender to try to keep him. And if not, then they get a second round draft pick for him. So I would love to see Jordan Mason back in the scale of what we're trying to say things. The love to have him back is probably like a 7.
Yes.
Do I think he'll be back? That might be more in the 4.
I'd say like a 3 for me.
Because he could make a lot of money. Like there's some teams that like would love to have Jordan Mason.
Yes,
let's just go like the Cowboys and a few others. So if the Niners give him like the second round tender, then they know they'll he could make more than $5 million probably somewhere else.
Yes, I agree.
So
totally agree.
That's why you give them the second round tender, so at least you get something back. And like the Cowboys and the Denver Broncos are the examples that came up in this article.
I'd also say like the Titans as well, because they just lost Derrick Henry, so they're looking for a running back that could help fill that hole.
Now there is a lot of good running backs coming up in the draft, but I totally think he's going to get some money. But I would like to see the Niners give him a second round tender so they can get something back for him.
Yes.
Number 9.
Number 9
is defensive tackle Kevin Givens. He's part of their B team defensive line, which is like their backups.
Yeah.
Those usually play like eight guys for a defensive line. I think the Niners would want him back, but this might determine how much money he gets in the free agent. He's restricted. He's kind of in the similar boat of Isaac Yiadom, who's number 10. So if we cover both at the same time here, I think the Niners would want both of these back. But it might come down to is how much they did. So
I think it's just how much other teams ask for, or how much the player wants for.
Because they're both going to be re-signed as a backup, but you need quality backups, and these are quality backups.
Because example, last year you need quality backups if people get injured.
Yeah, so I could see Yiadom was signed last year on a 1-year, $3 million deal to compete for the number 3 spot. He won it originally, but then Renato Green, the rookie, came up and beat him. With Charvarius Ward's likely leaving, that means Yiadom could again come back as the number 3. So I think that could be a possibility. Defensive tackle Kevin Givens, I think they'd want him back. He only played 8 games this season because of a pectoral tear, which doesn't sound very fun at all.
Yeah.
Like your pec tear. Anyway, I'm not going to get into that. That doesn't sound fun. So I think they'd want him back. They might be able to afford him on the cheap because he didn't play a whole lot, and he's always been a backup. So
I agree.
I think they'd want him back, but it's going to come back to a contract on that one. So.
Okay, let's do the fun part of this.
Okay.
Before we talk about actually, we can talk about the other one a lot more. How much do you think Brock Purdy is going to get for a contract extension?
Well, do you want like just kind of an average per year money, or are you looking like total money?
Hold on, let me look at quarterback.
Because if you're looking at like Dak Prescott makes the number 1 at $60 million a year. Isn't Patrick Mahomes somewhere in the 40 to 50 million, 45 to 50 range?
Yeah, Patrick Mahomes is in the 45 million per year.
Yeah, which I think he signed like a 10-year, $450 million contract. I think if I remember correctly. I think he's going to get somewhere in between. But then the way the Niners are going to, it's funny money. I wouldn't say total funny, but like they're going to come out with some big, huge money. And he's probably going to make, they're going to backload the contract just like the Niners do and everything else. And the reason why they do that, for those of you who don't know, is, let's say that, the contract or the salary cap this year is going to be roughly 180. It's the way 177 to 181. Let's just go 180 for easy calculations.
Yes.
Okay, it's 180 million this year, which is like a 25% increase over last year. With the new TV contracts, it's expected to go up roughly at that pace for the next couple seasons.
Yes.
Okay, so if you backload the contract, and let's say you 40 million, so 40 out of 180 million, what is that, about 20% of the cap? If you do your math? Okay, so it's about 20% of the cap if I'm doing my math correctly. Well, if it's 20% of the cap now, that 40 million, if you backload it, will now be about 15% of the cap in future years. So you pay him a huge signing bonus, but you kind of, you work the contract out, so it's out there. But he might average roughly around 50 to 55, I think is what he's going to average. But he could get this really huge signing bonus. But the other thing they could do is like 3 signing bonuses spread out over 3 years, which is, if we get to Deebo Samuel, the Niners have a signing bonus in some way, contract bonus for him coming up at $15 million, due around March 15th, if I remember correctly. And somewhere around that range. So that's where, like, the Niners, I think they're going to do Brock Purdy.
Yes.
And then if you go to move to Deebo Samuel, it's like, if they're going to trade Deebo,
it should be before March 15th, before they have to pay him $15 million.
Yeah, because if you pay him that $15 million, there's no way you're cutting him. There's probably very little way you're going to trade him, because that $15 million is going against your cap because you paid it already.
Yes.
And then you don't get the player. So that's where I think it's, if something's going to happen with Deebo, it's going to happen in the next couple of weeks, which is what we're talking about now, and we might be traveling. So if something's going to happen with Deebo, I think it's going to happen soon.
I think that what I want for Brock Purdy, I don't want him to make over $50 million or more. If he gets like if he gets $49 million, if he gets like a $49 million contract, I'm fine with that, but I don't want him to make like a $50 million contract because he's a really good quarterback, but we need the money to go to these other positions. And that's what really good quarterbacks like Patrick Mahomes have understood, like Tom Brady have understood, is that if you want a good team around you, you have to take a pay cut. But Patrick Mahomes did sign this huge deal, but that was for 10 seasons. He's not going to be a free agent until 2032, and even then he's probably going to get an extension before then. He's not leaving the Chiefs ever. So if you want to sign Brock Purdy, you don't sign him to a Dak Prescott $60 million. You don't sign him to a Joe Burrow $55 million per year. You don't sign him to these big huge contracts like the one that Jalen Hurts, like Lamar Jackson, like all these. He's not going to be I don't think Brock Purdy is going to sign if I was the GM of the 49ers, I would not make an offer above $50 million. If I want this team to be good, I do not want to have a league resetting deal to give to Brock Purdy.
Totally.
If he makes over $60 million, if he becomes the newest highest paid player in the league, I'm going to be very confused what John Lynch is doing.
Yeah, I think they're going to pay market rate, but I don't think they're going to make an example out of him. Let's say they've played, like, Trent Williams is one of the top left tackles.
Yes.
Nick Bosa is one of the top defensive linemen. Brandon Ayuk got like top 5-ish wide receiver money. And then you got Deebo Samuel. Technically, his cap hit next year is even more than Brandon Ayuk. You got Christian McCaffrey, who has decent money. You have Fred Warner. His cap hit next year is $29 million. I think his contract.
Fred Warner, yeah,
Fred Warner's
they're reworking on his contract right now
to make that cap hit go down to 29. Even though the Niners have like, what is it? 40. So this was $46 million in cap space. And the reason why the Kings, I keep saying Kings, why the Niners rework these contracts is Fred Warner's going to get his money. But like I said, if they push stuff backwards, like this year's their total cap liabilities right now is $270 million for next year. Well, the cap is only $280, roughly. Numbers haven't come in, but let's just call it 280 for calculation space. But what the Niners do is last year they ended the season with the largest cap space. Well, that money, which is like $30 million, gets rolled into next year. So basically, the Niners' cap size next year is $330 million. So the rest of the teams only have $280. The Niners have $330 million in cap space because they pushed their money and did all this, and then they pushed out to next year. So they pushed the money out. They still pay the players, but then they take that 20, almost $30 million of cap space, add it on to next year's cap, and now you got this. No, Niners cap is 330 that they get to live under next year. So that's why they do this, and that it started training camp with very little cap space, and then they reworked some deals. I think George Kittle was in there and a few others. And so they end up with this really large, the Niners are going to go out and sign somebody big. No, they were doing that for future years, for Brock Purdy money, for other people.
I want to say one thing. How much Brock Purdy is expected to make this year, if he doesn't get an extension, is $934,000. If I was Brock Purdy, I would be perfectly happy with a $40 million extension. I'd be perfectly happy with that.
Yeah, $40 million signing bonus.
Want to know some notable names that are making more money than Brock Purdy? Jake Browning. These are just quarterbacks, by the way.
Oh, isn't Jake Browning the guy from Folsom High School?
Yes, he is.
Okay, awesome.
Desmond Ridder, Bailey Zappi of the Browns, Sam Howell of the Seahawks. I don't even know how to say this guy. DTR, Dorian Thomas Robinson, Joe Milton III, Aiden O'Connell, Spencer Rattler, Tyler Huntley, Daniel Jones. The new contract for Daniel Jones after he got cut by the Giants and then re-signed with the Vikings. Tim Boyle, Stetson Bennett, Jake Haster, Mike White. All of these, Teddy Bridgewater. I could just keep going up the list. There are a lot of people that are not making they're making a lot more money than Brock Purdy is.
Okay,
and they're playing C.J. Beathard, Kyle Trask. Do you want me to keep going?
No, we got the point. Okay, so with the few minutes we got left here,
Carson Wentz, Cooper Rush,
Max.
Taylor Heineke, Mitchell Trubisky.
Where's the mute button? Can I reach the mute button on this? Okay, besides the list we have. I expect the Niners usually have in the first couple days of free agency to go sign some new players. The positions that I expect them to go sign, I actually think the Niners are going to go sign a new center.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So they've had Jake Brendel, who's been a decent center. But what is Shanahan in his tenure, and even before then, they went out and signed Weston Richburg.
Yes.
I think back in 2018, and then they signed Alex Mack. So they like to spend money on centers, and they need to invest in their offensive line.
Yes.
So if you go back to what they happened in the Super Bowl when Burford didn't block correctly, is that on the center not getting him to in the right spot? Like Niners love, and Shanahan specifically loves to have smart centers. So they could draft, probably you don't draft centers in the first round, but maybe the second or third round, do they draft a high center or do they go sign a free agent? I expect them to invest in a center and then the whole defensive line. I think they're going to draft offense and defensive lines.
Yes.
They're going to stock up on both of those, as you can see from the what the Eagles did, and that's how you beat the Chiefs. Is you have to have a dominant defensive line. So that's kind of where I think they're going. But if I was to say one area that they're, hey, the new player they're going to go sign, I expect it to be a center. That's kind of my thing, kind of doing my own research here of where they're at. So anyway, that's my. And you have any thoughts of where they might do for free agency?
I'm really interested in what they're going to. Not really free agency. I'm really interested in the trades that we could make. Like I really want Myles Garrett really bad because he requested a trade, and I feel like if we were able to trade Deebo Samuel to them, because they don't really have a number one wide receiver besides Jerry Jeudy, I guess.
Yeah, maybe they don't have anybody to throw him to. That's a whole other issue.
Jameis Winston? Question marks. Deshaun Watson, if he should be in prison or not, but.
He paid his dues.
No, he didn't. He paid hush money. That's what he did. But I think that we could trade for Myles Garrett. That would probably require us giving up our first round pick this year, or number 11 pick.
I'd bet you give up next year's than 11th. I really want to hang on to this 11. I think they need the draft. It's kind of that 11, which we'll get into the draft in a couple of months. But I think they're going to draft a lineman. Like that's like I'm like 99% sure it's either going to be a tackle or a defensive lineman. Anyway, but I think they're going to invest in free agency in the center.
Yes.
So, okay. I would love to get a trade. I'm curious to see what they can get out of Deebo Samuel. Would they just make trade for, I would love to see Deebo Samuel get traded for Myles Garrett. Because I think Myles Garrett would make a huge difference on the Niners. If you lose Deebo Samuel,
yes.
We have
Ricky Pearsall, we have Jawan Jennings, we have Brandon Ayuk. I think we're fine at wide receiver
and
without
Cowling,
him.
Technically still. So,
the kicker. We need a kicker. We need a kicker to compete with Jake Moody.
Yeah, I think
if Jake Moody can make kicks. He was fine 2 seasons ago when he went to the Super Bowl.
And he was good this year until he got injured.
He was good this year until he got injured, and then he stopped making kicks because he's injured. And at that point, you go, bro, if you can't do your one job because you're injured, stop doing your job. Let someone else do it.
Yeah, you got a bad fingernail. Let's go and you stubbed your toe. They should have done that, but yeah. So I do expect them. They're probably not going to spend a lot of money on the kicker, so I don't expect that to be early in the season. But I do expect he'll have competition.
I do expect them to bring in someone to compete with him during training camp, and then they can decide what to do with either after that. Okay,
that's a good wrap up for a Niners kind of free agency primer where things are going. We'll get to some more draft preview as we get close to that. That's in April. We're only in February, so that's 2 months away. 2 months, but I think it's like end of April, so it is pretty close to 2 months away. And thanks, everybody, for listening.
We'll see you guys next time.
Please pay attention to our channels. Again,
subscribe, ring the bell, share, comment, like, subscribe, all the things.
Yes, and watch for Eastman Sport Report on the road this week.
Don't watch it while driving. Watch us. We're going to be on the road. You can stay perfectly fine.
You can listen to us while driving.
Yes.
Don't watch us while driving. Thanks, everybody.
We'll see you guys next time.